Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Restoring Hope with Crosswinds Counseling. I'm your host, Curtis Smith. Well, it's the week of Christmas. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve and Saturday is Christmas Day. I know this week is so busy with all the holidays bring, so we thank you for carving out a little time to be with us in the middle of the rush. A big thank you tonight to our partners in bringing you Restoring Hope, Shepherd Community Center, Prime 47 Downtown, and Tesco. And a special thanks to our partners, WHMB TV 40. Tonight, as we prepare to celebrate the birth of our Savior, I hope you're able to slow down and let the meaning of Christmas Day truly impact you. It's so easy to get caught up in the parties and presents, the decorations and desserts, and forget that we are celebrating the birth of Christ. Even when we do that, we often think of Jesus as a baby at Christmas time. And it is true, he was born as a baby in a manger some 2,000 years ago. But this Christmas, let us remember that Jesus existed before the dawn of time. He was there when God created the world, and he will reign forever and ever. He isn't simply that baby in the manger. He is the conquering hero of heaven. Through him, and only him, we have forgiveness, redemption, and communion with God the Father. He loves us so much that he came to earth to live, not just to live among us, but as one of us. He then sacrificed his earthly life to pay the debt of our sin and to defeat death for us. When you look into that manger this season, don't just see the baby, but see the risen Lord. Tonight, we want to start the show with our Beacon of Hope segment. Crosswinds Counseling Executive Abe Hepler is here tonight to share his thoughts on Christmas Day.
Hi. My name's Abe. I'm one of the executives with Crosswinds. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. And as we celebrate this incredible holiday, we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. It's what Christmas is all about. And in the book of Matthew, we find a passage of scripture that I want to share with you today. Matthew actually quotes Isaiah from the Old Testament. Isaiah prophesied about who Jesus was going to be when he came to the world. And Matthew describes Jesus by quoting Isaiah, and he says this: "The people living in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned." And this light coming into the world is what we celebrate at Christmas. The birth of Jesus Christ was literally the birthplace of hope for the world. It's an incredible thing for us to celebrate every year. But one of the things that is interesting for me is that these holiday seasons can often not feel hopeful. In fact, we find lots of stress and pressure come at the holidays. We have relational stress, financial pressure, things that weigh us down and make us ultimately forget what we're celebrating in the first place. But today, I wanted to take just a moment and remind all of us of the hope that is at the heart of Christmas. A light has come into the world, and when we feel the stress and pressure, the darkness pushing in, it is my hope that you stop and remember that this season is about the light that has come into our world. And so I hope that that's not just true tomorrow or on Christmas Day, but that as you face darkness and trouble and stress and pressure every day in your world, that this truth can be a blessing. That Jesus came as the light of the world to offer us truth and hope and goodness in times that feel the darkest. And my prayer is that this isn't just true this season, but it's true for you tomorrow, the next day, and in all the days to come. Merry Christmas from all of us at Crosswinds.
Thank you, Abe, for sharing your Christmas thoughts with us tonight. Our first guest on this Christmas edition of Restoring Hope with Crosswinds Counseling is Carrie Carmichael. She is the Executive Director of the Refuge, a faith-based nonprofit. Carrie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about the Refuge for those that might not know the incredible work that you're doing in this community.
So we are a faith-based organization that our purpose and our goal is just to be a place where people can come when they need help. And sometimes that's a physical need where they need food or they need shelter, or they need resources to get through to the next day. Sometimes they come in the door and they just need someone to pray with them and just care about them and know kind of what they're going through and have the time to be able to spend with them. And then other times it's academically where we want to help with the kids in the community and partner with the schools to be able to be a resource. So many different aspects of it, but just to be a place where people can come when they need someone.
You've been with the organization for about 14, 15 years. About 6 years ago, you transitioned into the executive director role. What was that transition like for you as you started to take the lead of doing this amazing work?
So our founder, Tom Hord, great man, he had a vision to have a facility that was open to anybody and everybody. And he and his family moved to Florida. So the current board at that time asked for me to step in and just start taking leadership. So we just kept going with the vision, kept going with what the needs were each year, adapting to what we saw the community needed, and just having great volunteers, great community and businesses, and just trying to grow the awareness of what the needs are right in our community, and building those partnerships around us.
When you talk about needs and adapting, I suspect during your 14, 15 years with the organization, you have seen the need for mental health services going through the roof. We all have. From the Refuge viewpoint and standpoint, what does that look like? When you help someone in need of mental health services, how do you guys do that? How do you come alongside them and love them through that?
So a lot of times when an individual walks through a door for the first time, it could be either an elderly couple that just can't make ends meet. It could be a single mom that never ever thought she'd ever have to walk through a pantry door and ask for help. But what we're seeing more and more is that individuals, families that just need to know that somebody cares. And they've gotten so low in the situation that they're in that they don't see the hope. So our goal is to spend time with every single person when they walk in the door and just share the amount of time that they want. It might be 5 minutes and they just want to be able to get their food and get back to their family. But it might mean just spending some alone time and hearing what they're going through and kind of figuring out what the root is, what the root need is for that family. And having the resources and the partnerships with other organizations to get them, if it's not just those few moments with them and they need more long-term help, to be able to get them connected for that.
You mentioned partnerships. I know you have one with Crosswinds Counseling. What has that partnership meant to the Refuge?
What was great about the partnership is knowing what their mission is and knowing that it's Christ-centered, but being able to give an individual some long-term resources that if they're in need of more than what we individually are equipped to do, that we have them to be able to refer individuals to be able to get that long-term care.
Tell me about the pandemic, Carrie. What has the impact been on the people that you serve? What does it look like today versus what it looked like 2 years ago?
So adaption is a big word that we use, and I think probably our city and our state and our country has felt that, but being able to adapt to what is going on right now. So if we're in a specific color code based on the spread, being able to adapt and wear masks or be safe and having the resources where people can still come and get it. It may not be as much food right now because they're getting additional resources and help from the government, but it might mean still being open, having our doors open for people to come in and talk to or even call. A lot of times people will call and say, we just don't feel safe yet getting out, but we still need someone to pray with us. We still need someone to know that there's a need. So if it's driving and delivering those items that the people need, then that's what we want to be able to do.
And what about the volume of work? How has that changed during the pandemic as well? Have you seen so many more people in need over this last year and a half?
We've seen more people in need of the mental and the social skills, the social aspect. They're getting additional resources, whether it be from the stimulus money or extra funding given to them with unemployment, but they still need the connection. They need people, and with having things shut down and things not open, they're finding they need that community somewhere. So, yeah, it's different. It wasn't what I think a lot of organizations thought it would be. We really thought our doors would just be swamped with people in need of financial help. And now we're seeing, as we're coming kind of out of the shutdown mode, people needing help getting caught back up. So that financial help is stepping in now.
We're just 2 days from Christmas. This is a season where a lot of folks are typically more generous. To people who might be watching tonight who are thinking, how can I help? What can I do to come alongside the Refuge? What would you say are some of your biggest needs from the community, and how can people get involved?
So we just finished our toy drive, and we were able to help over 100 children.
Awesome.
With Christmas. So that was amazing to be able to do because of the generosity that people have extended. But moving into January, we're going to be starting back our after-school program where kids are brought to us that the schools identified their biggest needs. So we do need some additional volunteers to see that project through at 100%. But financially, prayers, resources, a lot of times we find that our partnerships start with somebody that knew somebody. So it may not be that one individual being able to give generously themselves, but they know somebody that can help and partner with us. So those are amazing connections.
Yeah, it's so powerful to see relationships yield those kinds of results.
Yes, sir.
Carrie, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Carrie Carmichael, the Executive Director of the Refuge. We'll be right back.
Worry, conflict, and fatigue don't have to rule your life. There are always challenges, and working with a counselor to navigate them may be the best decision for you. Crosswinds counselors are compassionate, qualified, and dedicated, and they can give you the support you deserve. Whether navigating crisis or seeking personal growth, this is your pivotal moment. Contact us today. Years from now, you'll remember today as the day hope was reignited.
Shepherd works with both the first and second generation to break the cycle of poverty. It's a two-gen approach to say we want to help the parents and the students to help them have the tools for them to break the cycle of poverty.
You know, it's easy to think programs make a difference, but we know from 35 years of experience, relationships is effective.
In this world, we don't need more programs. We need to know that more people care for us.
Welcome back to Restoring Hope with Crosswinds Counseling. Tonight in our Counseling Corner segment, Katie Cooley is here with a special Christmas message around the ideas of tradition and love language.
Hi, I'm Katie Cooley. I'm a therapist at Crosswinds Counseling, and today I'm here to talk about Christmas traditions as it relates to the 5 love languages during holiday time. So the first love language is words of affirmation. And as we all know, you can tell someone what they mean to you in person, but showing them that appreciation, whether it is in person or sending a Christmas card, a text. Texting is a great way now to send a meaningful message or even a card, as we can do that virtually now. The second is quality time. Spending quality time, as most people do, but maybe thinking about it differently and creating new Christmas traditions or bringing new people into your traditions, spending quality time together. Gifts, as we all know, might be the most exciting part of Christmas. However, making meaning could be a really powerful way to make gifts together, give gifts together, homemade gifts, and making meaning out of those gifts. How can we do that to celebrate the holiday season? And fourth is acts of service. It could be exciting to bake cookies together, give those cookies away, decorate together. Again, maybe bringing new traditions into those acts of service and doing maybe a family outing together as an act of service. And then lastly, physical touch. So maybe during the year, a lot of people aren't getting physical touch due to COVID-19 and everything else going on. And so it could be really, really meaningful to give that person a hug or just, a warm pat to say how much they mean and give them the feeling of love and togetherness during the holidays. So don't underestimate the power of a hug. Hopefully these are some ideas that you can think about and incorporate into your holiday season coming up this year, and I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you, Katie, for your Christmas thoughts tonight. Joining us now on Restoring Hope is Mike Yoder, the CEO of Servant HR. Mike, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
For those that don't know Servant HR, tell us a little bit about your organization.
Absolutely. Servant HR is a business in Fishers, Indiana, and we do outsourced human resources for small and medium-sized businesses. So if a company, instead of having an HR director, decides they'd like to have us do that, we've got 11 employees that do nothing but human resources.
Wow.
And we do it for about 85 clients, most out of central Indiana.
Wow. Businesses of all different sizes?
All sizes ranging literally from 2 employees to 300.
Wow. That's a lot different to do HR for 2 and 300.
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of different laws that apply in many different ways.
Yeah. Does that go across many state lines? Where are all of your organizations?
Most of our clients are based out of central Indiana, but then
Okay.
they might have a salesperson in Utah or in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And so we actually run payrolls in about 30 states.
Wow.
Even though most of the home offices of our companies are in central Indiana.
Mike, this season of life that we're in, kind of still in the pandemic, the workforce seems to have virtually disappeared. We're in this very strange state in our history. From an HR perspective, I would assume that a lot of the organizations you work with are, I don't know if they're panicked, but it's just unsettling. It's something we've never seen before. What are you seeing as you look across that landscape?
Unsettling is a good word. So often it's been a struggle in the past to try and figure out how do you keep employees happy, how do you attract and retain employees, and it used to be you'd think about money.
Right.
But now it's so many different things, and thankfully employers have started to look at their employees in a more holistic way. And so you'll find out now that money's not the most important thing to employees, and so much of that is about relationship, so much of that is about the culture of a company and how an employer cares about their employees. So we've started to see that ramping up, but through the pandemic, it's been huge. In order to attract, retain, and keep employees functioning, it's been very important to look more holistically at the employees, and that includes mental health.
I suspect that the work you guys do must be really top-notch and very special because HR is such a personal thing, and to do it across all these different organizations, how do you maintain that, keeping dignity in place, keeping personal connections in place, making it feel personal when you're a little bit removed from each organization? How do you invest in that purposely?
It is about relationship. It's one of the reasons why most of our clients are based out of central Indiana is because we want to have access to them.
Yeah.
We want those employees as well as clients to have cell phone numbers, to have access to us, to build relationship. We could look to be more national in what we do, but then we wouldn't be able to build the relationships we do. So we think it's really important that that's how we operate culturally, and it impacts how we develop our relationships with both our clients and our employees at the client locations.
I heard a CEO once recently say, it's not about growth. Growth is not good. Strategic growth is good. And it sounds like you might share that mindset.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's part of what the pandemic led to in a lot of different ways. All of our clients made it through the pandemic, but some of them did start right-sizing. There was a concept of growth before the pandemic, and now it was like, how do we really operate? And so we did have some of our clients that led to some reductions in staff as they walked through it, but some of that made sense because it was about strategic growth. Prior to that, it had just been growth.
Yeah. Has the pandemic in a weird way benefited you because the idea of being virtual, of having people off-site has become so much more the norm that maybe people are seeing your services as something that maybe was out of the box a little bit 10 years ago, not so much anymore?
I think that's probably true. I don't think we've seen a huge range in that. Again, our desire is to stay focused on building relationships with the folks that we have. But the concept of remote doesn't scare anybody. And our ability to have used Zoom before Zoom was cool helped serve us very well in the process.
Let's talk about mental health here at Restoring Hope with Crosswinds Counseling. We talk about mental health every week. As you look across the landscape of the organizations that you work with, what have you seen from an HR perspective of the mental health of the workers in all of these different organizations in so many different industries? Dealing with the pandemic, what has that looked like for employees?
There is no doubt that it has impacted employees in a lot of negative fashions. People who are used to being with people, being cooped up in their homes, people who are used to having a social relationship or being out among clients. When that was taken away from them, it absolutely impacted employees. And what's been honestly really cool is to see that employers have recognized that. It seems like wellness has been something that's been talked about for years, but it was usually about exercise and eating better and doing those types of things. And finally, employers are starting to really understand mental health is as much a part of that as physical health in that way. And the mental health leads to physical health in a lot of different ways. So it's been valuable to see how can we create different tools that can help people in that vein, just as a gym membership might for somebody on the physical side.
Right, we're kind of chuckling about that, but that is true. They go hand in hand. It is hard to have physical health if you don't have mental health. Sometimes it's hard to have mental health if you don't have physical health. They've got to work together.
Absolutely, and I think that was something that wasn't as recognized by employers. I think the pandemic has helped to make that more clear.
Yeah. Mike, let's talk a little bit about what you see in terms of moving forward. I know no one has a crystal ball and no one can look beyond this pandemic, but how do you think we come out of this? How do you think it reshapes the business world this last year and a half, 2 years that we've gone through?
I think it has to be a focus on the individual because individuals handled the pandemic differently. And I think that's something that employers are starting to figure out in a better way. And so how do we provide employee assistance programs? How do we provide tools? How do we provide a quiet space in the workplace where people can go if they need to? How do we expand paid time off policies to include mental health days where you don't have to just plan 3 weeks in advance to take your time off? It's looking at people as individuals and saying, what's your need? And I think that's how we come out of it, is that employers look at their employees as individuals and try and meet those needs.
Awesome. Mike, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Great conversation. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Mike Yoder, the CEO of Servant HR. We'll be right back.
In the heart of downtown Indy, at the corner of Pennsylvania and Maryland Streets, it's Prime 47, the city's only independent, locally owned and operated steakhouse, offering gourmet dishes, the highest quality steaks, fresh seafood, and an extensive wine list. Prime 47 specializes in large parties and events. So, whether it's dinner for 2 or 200, it's prime time you visit Prime 47, Indy's Steakhouse, for the finest in dining.
This Christmas season, maybe God is whispering in your ear that it's time to seek the help of a counselor. But maybe He's telling you to be a part of this organization so that you can use the gift He has given you to bless others. If you are a counselor, therapist, or mental health provider, and you would like to pursue a career with Crosswinds Counseling, we're looking for great men and women to make a difference in the lives of people right here in our community. If you aren't a counselor and your skills lie in other areas, good news, there are job openings throughout the entire business. If you would like to join Crosswinds Counseling, you can visit the website you see on your screen right now, crosswindscounseling.org/careers. If you know of people who are looking for work in this field, please let them know about Crosswinds Counseling. Right now, more than ever, we have a tremendous need for people to join the team and bring hope to our community. As our time comes to a close tonight, we thank you again for spending some of this Christmas week with us. I know your time is precious, especially right now. I want to leave you with one of the verses of one of my favorite old Christmas songs, As with Gladness, Men of Old. The second to last verse says, Holy Jesus, every day, keep us in the narrow way. And when earthly things are past, bring our ransomed souls at last, where they need no star to guide, where no clouds thy glory hide. I look forward to that day. And in the meantime, I hope this Christmas we remember that the baby Jesus is the Lord Jesus, and His life paid the price for our souls. Have a very Merry Christmas. I hope it's filled with joy and peace that comes from the greatest gift ever given, Jesus Christ. Merry Christmas, everyone. We will see you next Thursday night for our final show of 2021.